Hey, back row, you have to move up. Koji, Danny. One row. He moved up one row. Okay, thank you so much. I really appreciate your cooperation. Okay, so back to announcements. The Accelerate Development Program got postponed a little bit. So if you're interested, there is still time to sign up, and the orientation has been moved to February 10th. So you can check your emails from Belvedere Family Community, and there's information in the emails about that. And next, I have the button. Well, okay. Oh, there we go. I'd like to welcome the new Belvedere Family Community HTM Coordinator, Mr. Edward Nakai. So Mr. Nakai has volunteered to take on this role, and he's very committed to HTM work himself. So if you want to connect, if you need some encouragement, just touch base with Mr. Nakai. HTM is Heavenly Tribal Messiahship. If you are interested in meeting new people, sharing the blessing, anything like that, Mr. Nakai can connect you to the resources that you need. Okay, and I'm going to invite up to share a little report about an event that we had yesterday, Mr. David Okamoto.
Okay, good morning, everybody. Okay, so we had a Ambassador for Peace meeting. This is the first time we did. And after the November's appointment ceremony, we had about 10 Ambassadors for Peace came together. And we had a report about Haiti, the Bishop Ruben Moise, and also it was a chance for the networking and discussion, and also the Mr. Barry Guerra, he gave a UPF and the AFP's mission. And just to show the pictures, it's a pretty good crowd, and but mostly the Ambassador for Peace came. And we appointed the new Ambassador for Peace, Miss Sonia Martin. She's a social worker. And we have a great performance by Michael White, Ruben Moise, and Barry Guerra. He gave this amazing presentation, and everybody was so moved and understood that really, the mission of the Ambassador for Peace is to start from each person, their mind and body unity, and of our family, and expand to the community and nation. And also that he really explained how the Ambassador for Peace started by Father Mother Moon. So that made a completely different organization compared to all other peace initiative. So there was some happy face, Mr. Singh, not Singh, sorry, Singh. He's okay. He's a human rights commission. Yeah, and so they are happy to meet each other. So this is a great opportunity for everybody to meet again and discuss the future project together. It's a group picture. And there will be a upcoming event by the Ambassador for Peace affiliates on September February 25. It's a Saturday in here, marriage blessing and celebration. And those, if you have any guests and clergies to receive the marriage blessing and also celebrate their long-term marriage. And also that we have a HCLC prayer breakfast at the St. Joseph Catholic Church and March 11th. Also, one of our ambassador for peace, the Reverend Gabriel, will hold this impactful ministers and leaders conference on April 22nd. Okay, thank you very much.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. I'm going to share about the goals and progress so far. But before we go into that, we wanted to share the vision video again.
Head on over to our community gathering at the Belvedere Family Community. My family and I hop into our brand new 2027 Tesla and we head on over. As we drive, we have an excited and hopeful look on our faces. We know that we're about to go to the place where we feel most loved, cared for, and free to be ourselves. As we walk into the building, immediately we see one of our good friends. "Hey, you're here. I missed you," they say. We hug, and even though it's only been a week since last Sunday, there's this feeling like we are being reunited after a long break. As we walk to our seats, we say hi to people, shaking hands, hugging, catching up on the week's happenings. There's some music playing in the background, and I can feel a united feeling of excitement to receive God's word on this day. We get to our seats and sit down. I take a moment to look around and admire the beautiful home that we get to be in. Even more beautiful than the space are the many different faces that I see. Black, white, brown, Asian, Hispanic. Every shade that makes up our human family is here. It is as if the whole world came together at this place and this time to worship together. Suddenly, the music starts. We're jumping around, dancing and singing. The energy is exciting and life-giving. We feel the joy of being alive, the joy of having a voice to sing and a body to dance with. Always I say to people, we have the best music ministry in the world. Our band is rocking. Finally, it's time to receive the message. Every time I hear a message, I feel the speaker is a true person of integrity. They not only speak to us, but they lead us by example through their authenticity, sincerity, and love with which they speak. Sermons are always engaging, inspirational, and practical to what I'm going through in my life. I always leave with a feeling that God spoke directly to me through the message. As the service comes to an end, we feel so filled with love, we're ready to go out and spread that love to others. First of all, we do that in our amazing fellowship hall with one another. We are all in different places in our life. Some of us are single, married, or grandparents, generally in a good place in life, but some are going through rough times, divorce, overcoming addictions, dealing with depression. We have all kinds of people in all kinds of stages in their journey. The amazing thing, though, is people feel free to share the truth of themselves, knowing that they aren't going to be judged or criticized, but instead embraced with love and guided towards a better path. As we get ready to leave, I take a moment to just stop and be with God and take in the gratitude I'm experiencing. We have come so far over the years. There were so many trials and tribulations, and even times when we thought we were done. However, we persevered together. Now we are a large and continuously growing community, filled with grandparents, parents, young families, and children of all ages. We are financially increasing year after year, and with that abundance, we are serving more and more people, getting involved with community initiatives in the area, as well as establishing multiple daughter communities. All this was possible because we are a community of owners, where each and every one of us found our personal calling and mission. As I get home, I can't believe it's already 7 p.m. I literally spent the entire day in the community. I guess when you're in heaven, you don't want to leave. As we enjoy a meal together as a family, we are sharing about our experiences today, what we've learned, and how we were loved and loved others. Now it's time to end the day. The kids get prepared for another day at the Belvedere School. We say our prayers, go to bed, I kiss my beloved spouse goodnight, and peacefully fall asleep.
Wow. It's always amazing to watch that video again. All right, so let's go through the goals and progress so far. So I think this was from December. So the number of active tithing members, I think it's 120 so far. I think that's correct, right? The number of ministry leaders, I think we have 9. I think we have yet to determine when we'll do that. And then number of attendees is 123, and the overall income, so yeah, 33% increase since last year. And I think this was updated for this year of January 18, so 124, I think plus 4 more. And then, yeah, so as you can see, we are gaining more as the weeks go on. So it's always a good thing to see. So yeah, and the goals of numbers for the tithing members, I think our goal was until May 2023. So it's about 24. That's pretty good. And then for the numbers of attendees, the goal was 75 and we have 131. And then for the tithing, I think our goal was, 300K. And I think we're pretty close to that. So yeah, I think we're doing really well so far. And I think the goal for January was 99 and the reality was 135. So 80% increase in 5 months. So yeah, and the goal for the December was 100K and the reality was 124K. So yeah, we can see the numbers going up there. So yeah, I mean, we should give ourselves an applaud, right? Yeah. And yeah, as we can see, yep. And there you have it. Great, thank you.
Good morning, everybody. How are you doing? I know it's very cold outside, but it's warm in here. It's warm in here. How do you feel about our goals? Everything's going up. It's always good to progress. There may be pitfalls, but we still move forward, right? A mighty fortress is our God. Let's stand and sing with all your might, with all your power, with all your strength. A mighty fortress is our God, a bulwark never failing, a helper he amid the flood of mortal ills prevailing. For still our ancient foe does seek to work us woe. His craft and power are great, and armed with cruel hate. On earth is not his equal. Did we in our own strength confide, our striving would be losing. Were not
might men on our side, the men of God's own choosing. Dost ask who that may be? Christ Jesus, it is He. Lord Sabaoth His name. From age to age the same. And He must win the battle. Women only.
Oh, this world where death is filled, should threaten to undo us. There will not fear, for God has willed this truth to triumph through us.
The Prince of Darkness grim, we tremble not for him. His rage we can endure, for lo, his doom is sure.
All together.
One little word shall fail him. That word above all earthly powers, no thanks to them abiding. The Spirit and the gifts are ours, through Him who with us sided. Let goods and kindred go, this mortal life also. The body they may kill, God's truth abideth still. His kingdom is forever.
His kingdom is forever. He's our everlasting God, isn't it? Oh, everybody! Let's see you move those cold bodies. Here we go.
Strength will rise as we wait upon the Lord. Wait upon the Lord. We will wait upon the Lord.
Strength will rise.
Strength will rise as we wait upon the Lord. Wait upon the Lord. We will wait upon the Lord. Our God, you reign forever.
Sing it out.
Our hope, our strong deliverer. You are the everlasting God, the everlasting God. You do not think you won't grow weary. You are defender of the weak. You comfort those in need. You lift us up on wings like eagles. Strength will rise as we wait upon the Lord. Wait upon the Lord. We will wait upon the Lord.
Strength will rise.
Strength will rise as we wait upon the Lord. Wait upon the Lord. We will wait upon the Lord. Our God, you reign forever. Our hope, our strong deliverer. You are the everlasting God, the everlasting God. You do not think think you won't grow weary. You're the defender of the weak. You comfort those in need. You lift us up on wings like eagles. You are the everlasting God. The everlasting God. You do not faint, you won't grow weary. You are the defender of the weak. You comfort those in need. You lift us up on wings like
So, don't you feel warmer?
Oh yeah.
See, when you sing out, when you give everything, you warm up your bodies. You feel the spirit. Okay. God is our light of grace, shining above, lighting our dim shadowed ways. He's always there for us.
Oh, light of grace, shining above, lighting my dim shadowed way. Oh, light of grace, easing my pain. You have shown that God is love. I'll give my life and my love unto the one God love. Though clouds may come, hiding His face, hiding the smile of my God. Though clouds may come,
Still He is there,
still He is there,
shining brightly,
shining brightly. God is love.
I'll give my life.
I'll give my life and my love unto the one God of love. Amid the storm, tossed on the sea, beacon of hope, guiding me.
Amid the storm, shelter is near.
Shelter is near.
Trust in Him.
Trust in Him, for God is the love. I'll give my life and my love unto the one God of love.
All things decay,
Decay,
passing away.
passing away.
Only the light shall remain.
Only the
Who
light
shall remain? All things decay.
all things decay.
Still there is one.
Still there is one.
Can you feel it?
True
Yes.
and faithful.
True and faithful. God is love. I give my life. Oh, I give my life and my love unto the Lord, God of love. I give
give my life. Oh, yeah. Onto the wall. Onto the wall. God of love.
Amen. Thank you so much. God bless you all. You may be seated.
True and faithful God is love. Let us bow our heads and let us bow our hearts to our Heavenly Parent God. Dear Heavenly Parent, we have passed through a short time of extreme cold. It was beautiful winter weather, but it was bitter. And we recall and we remember all who need our help. We can only move through life by cooperating with each other. Now we have milder weather and a full moon. How beautiful the sun and moon are. Even the ancient people worship them as gods, but they are not gods. They are symbols of God. The bright and burning sun is a symbol of our Heavenly Parent, and the moon a symbol of our Heavenly Parent. Thank you for the great religions of the world. Each of them was motivated by God to guide people in an age and location and providential situation. Thank you to Buddha and Confucius and Mohammed. However, it was through Christ, your Son Jesus, that you reached out to us and saved our lives. And it was Jesus Christ who touched our founder, Father Moon, in his youth and gave him his divine mission of becoming a true parent with Mother Moon and touching each of us to be empowered with God's love so we may be the children of the Most High God. We are gathered this morning to worship in song and by the spoken word. As Jesus taught, let us be like a child. Let us be trusting and open and receive everything that heaven is giving us today. I stand gratefully with my wife, Taiko, as a blessed central family to offer this prayer, and we pray together as a blessed people assembled here. Amen and Aju.
Wow, thank you, Bill, for that beautiful prayer and a refreshed perspective. Okay, children, if any of you are still here, Sunday school has started, so you may go. No, Dominic, you have to stay here. So now is that time we've all been waiting for. Our hearts are open. Our minds are ready to receive your word, Heavenly Parent. Let's invite up our beloved pastor, Justin Okamoto.
Thank you very much. Good morning, brothers and sisters. Good morning. It's good to see you all here. Thank you. Just one person thinks so? I'm always grateful to be here together with you. And before I get started, I just wanted to let you all know that I'm going to be leaving for Las Vegas tonight. So I'll be there for 3 days. So when I come back, I'll either be a very rich man or a very poor man, depending on how I do. Please pray for me. No, I'm just kidding. I was thinking to end this sermon with a mic drop. She's like, "Peace, y'all. I'm going to Las Vegas." But I thought Charles would kill me if I ever dropped the mic like that, so I decided against it. I'm grateful to be here, and we're continuing this series, the Possibilities series. And today we're going to be talking about a year of achievement. And really, I want to just share the intention of this whole series of possibilities is really seeing possibilities beyond what we could have imagined in our life, whether that be expanding our belief about what's possible about ourselves, about our own identity as God's children. Who am I? that possibility, the possibilities of spiritual growth, of going beyond where I am and actually seeing bigger perspectives and larger perspectives of spirituality and consciousness and relationship with God. Or maybe the possibilities of impact, right? That was last week, was all about different impacts that we could make in the world. And today is about seeing the pathway of new achievements in our life, how to create new possibilities of what we can achieve during this year, during this lifetime. So achievement is defined as a thing done successfully, typically by effort, courage, or skill. In case you didn't know, that's what that means. Before we get into the content, I want you all to think about one thing in your life that you would like to accomplish this year. That's really where you're going to get the most out of this, if you can connect to something that you yourself are working on, or something that you yourself want to see happen in your life. It might be an achievement like this year going on a vacation with my family, going to that specific country, escaping the cold, or maybe going into the cold, or going skiing in Switzerland, whatever it might be. Or maybe it's an achievement around your finances, making a certain amount of money this year, or an impact that you want to make in the community, or inviting new people to the community, or starting a new career. But just choose one thing that you feel you would like to accomplish this year, so that you have something to reflect on throughout the rest of this talk. Is that okay? Yeah. Okay. So for some of us, this idea of declaring what we want to achieve might seem a little bit scary. And for some, it might be, you might feel tempted to choose something that already is inside of your idea of what's possible for you in your life, right? Like, you know what, I'm going to achieve that I'm going to at least eat one meal a day for the rest of the year. Like, that's kind of like, I know that I can do that. I know that that's possible. So that's what I'm going to set myself out to do. Or maybe you might choose something that's very vague, right? Like, this year, I just want to be a good person this year. I just want to do some good things this year, right? And you kind of keep it very vague, right? Because that way, it's like, well, I kind of did it. At the end of the year, you can kind of say, well, I kind of did it, right? And I want to just be clear that if that's what you're thinking, it's not wrong, it's not bad, but we just want to look into why we might go there sometimes when we think about our achievements, when we think about what we want in our life. And I think a lot of times why we go to something that's maybe a little bit vague or a little bit predictable is a lot of times because of fear. Because we have this fear of not being able to go beyond what we know to be possible right now. And I think a lot of that comes from past experiences of failure, of being disappointed, of saying, I'm going to do this, or I'm going to have this kind of thing in my life, and that not happening. And then we feel like disappointed, and we feel, I'm not going to do that again. That was embarrassing. Has anybody ever had that experience? You said, I'm going to do this. Anybody? Yeah, okay. I think if we're really honest with ourselves, we could all say that, yeah, we've all experienced what we might call a failure in life, right? Doesn't make you a failure, by the way. But we sometimes say we're going to do something and we don't end up doing it, or we don't end up accomplishing it. So if you're in that category, I just want you to know that you're not alone, that it doesn't make you, wrong or bad. It just makes you human, and you're in good company, okay? Does that sound good? Yeah. It's good to be with brothers and sisters, right? We're all in this together. So one way to think about this is kind of like a broken car engine. So has any of you ever had your car break down somewhere? Yeah. So if your car broke down outside of, Belvedere, or right up the hill or something, and you asked me, Pastor Justin, can you help me? My car broke down. I might go over there and say, okay, let me look up, put up the hood and let me take a look. And I'll take a look at that. And, I might say, well, I can pray for it. I can pray for you. Let me pray, and maybe God will make this car, fix itself. That's basically all I can do for you if you have a broken engine. And sometimes, our achievements might look like that to us. Like it looks like something's broken in our life, and we don't really have any idea of how to fix it, how to make it better. So, every time the subject comes up about goal setting or achievement, we might think, oh, I've tried that before. I've done that before, and it didn't work. Just like we look at that engine and we say, I've seen this before, and I have no idea what to do with it. But the thing is, when we learn about the different parts of an engine, we learn the science behind the engine, the mechanics of the engine. We understand, oh, this is not just this big thing called an engine, but there are parts, and that part is called the jugular, and that part is called this tube and that tube, right? When we learn these things, it starts becoming more understandable to us. Say, oh, this is not just a broken engine, but this tube is not connected. I know how to fix that, right? I know how to do something about that. And we start getting a totally different view of that broken engine. And so with achievement, in the past, maybe you've had experiences where you've set a New Year's resolution and you said, I'm going to do this, I'm going to have this in my life, and it didn't work. But rather than just thinking the whole thing is broken, like all goal setting is broken, achievement is broken, it just doesn't work for me, understand that maybe in the past, you didn't have the understanding of the principles that make achievement possible. And maybe that's why you weren't able to achieve what you wanted to achieve. So really, it's not that, achievement is difficult, goal setting doesn't work, but it's a lack of understanding of the science of achievement. Like if there were actual principles that we could learn, like, oh, if I do this and I do that, and it's not just achievement, but it's do this, do that, do that, then we realize, oh, achievement is possible. I can actually fulfill all of these desires in my heart. And it starts to look a lot more manageable. So today I want to talk about the science of achievement, some principles of achievement. Are you ready for that? Yes. One more time, are you ready for that? Yes. Okay. So number one, everybody say number one. Number one is know what you want. Okay, let's say it together. Know what you want. Know what you want. So that's the first part, is we have to know what we want. When asking ourselves, what do we want? Basically, we're talking about some desire that's in our heart, right? And reality is sometimes we have a funny relationship with desire, I think, in life. In some religious communities or even non-religious communities, right? Sometimes we're taught that desire is wrong, right? Like we're not supposed to desire things. And in the past, we might have even had experiences where we felt shamed or put down or judged for having certain desires, whether that be from our parents or from peers in the community or teachers, things like that. And we're taught to deny, right, our desires for the sake of God's desire, right? And while there is some truth to that, what we have to be careful is when we start to think that it's wrong to want things. Like it's wrong to want nice things in our life or a certain kind of relationship, certain kind of experience. We have to be careful about that. Because reality is desire is a very natural thing to have. It's very natural to have desires, to have wants. When we look at little kids, they're not weird about desire the way that we are sometimes. When they want something, they want something. Why do they want it? Because they want it. I had a funny interaction with my 4-year-old son last night. I was just playing around with him, and then, he was, I wanted to put the blanket on. We were in the bed. I wanted to put the blanket on. He was like, I don't want the blanket. And I said, I want the blanket. And I said, I'm bigger than you, so I get to choose. I want the blanket. And he's like, I'm small. And I was like, it's okay. He's like, I want to be big. And I was like, oh, you want to be big? He's like, yeah, I want to be big. I was like, okay, you can be big. And then he gets up and he stands up and he's like, I'm big. And I was like, yes, you are big. You got it. He just wanted to be big and he found a way to do it. So, having desires is very natural. And it even says in the divine principle, every human being is struggling to attain lifelong happiness and overcome misfortune. How then does happiness arise? People feel joy when their desires are fulfilled. It's pretty simple, right? We want to feel joy in our life. And how do we feel joy? Is when we fulfill a desire in our heart. And the reality is, without desire, without wanting something, you have no motivation to act, to do something, to get out of bed. Even if we look at God and ask, why did God create? Why did God create the universe, the world? Why did God create me and you and all of the creation? It's because God had desire. God had a want. He did not want to be alone. He didn't not want to experience life alone. He wanted to experience life with others and to connect and go deep and to see his sons and daughters and to see them connect and to see them prosper and grow to become mothers and fathers and grandparents and have children of their own and multiply. And to take what he created and to make it better. That's what God wanted to see. He had a desire that compelled him to act. And in fact, God even put those desires into our heart. Right? It says in Genesis, be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth and subdue it and have dominion over the fish of the sea and over the birds of the air and over every living thing that moves upon the earth. So what does this mean? God is saying, become the best person that you can be. Develop your heart, develop your character. You can be more, and it's okay to want to be more. In fact, I want you to want to be more. I want you to develop. God is saying, develop relationships with others, create, partnerships, and find that eternal partner to create a family together, a community, a society, and also to become rich, to become abundant, to become an owner of this creation, right? So we have to be crystal clear about what we want, and also to fully embrace that this want might just come from God, and to see how that want actually comes from God. So number two, ever say number two? Okay, number two is to know why you want it. Why do you want it? So again, I want to read from the divine principle. It says, the word desire, however, is often not understood in its original sense, because in the present circumstances, our desires tend to pursue evil rather than good. Desires which result in injustice do not emanate from our person's original mind. So especially this point, I want to emphasize, even at the cost of their lives, people seek for the joy that can enrapture the original mind. So this is the secret. This is the secret to achieving, is when we're able to connect what I want to the deepest part of my heart, my original heart, this desire for truth, for beauty, for goodness. It's this part of us that's directly connected with the heart of God. And when we connect with this heart, we get this drive, this incredible drive that no matter what happens, I am willing to give all of it up if it's for the sake of getting this and accomplishing this and achieving this, because this is not just what I want, but this is what God wants too. And when we say at the cost of their lives, it might not necessarily mean your physical life. It might mean your image, your status, giving up those things, sacrificing those things, your current ideas, your ego, your reputation. If we look at the life of Father and Mother Moon, even at the cost of being jailed, of being called a heretic, of being so incredibly judged by the entire world, they were driven to seek the joy of their original minds. And they were willing to pay any price to get that joy, to achieve that joy. Jesus was willing to pay any price to seek the joy that enraptured his original mind. Another way to say this is that we need to turn our shoulds into musts. There's a quote by Tony Robbins. And And we look at our life, look at the way we've sometimes set our goals, is a lot of times our goals are based on something that we should do. Like I should lose weight. I should spend more time with my wife or kids. I should pray more. I should really bring people to the community, introduce them to the community. But the thing is, we very rarely actually achieve the things that we should achieve, that we think that we should achieve. You know, some of us might say, oh, I really should do so and so because Father and Mother Moon said I should do it. Has anybody ever thought that way before? Yeah. But then what ends up happening is a lot of times we take some kind of action, but we end up not fulfilling on that goal. And it's not because you are a bad person. It's not because there's anything wrong with you, but it's because it came from this place of a should. It was not a must for you. It was not connected to the deepest part of your original heart. We rarely get our shoulds, but we almost always get our musts in our life. If it must happen, you will make it happen. So I want to use an example from my own life. So I know some of you may be tired of hearing about this, but I promise you, this is just an example of what I'm talking about. So in the beginning of this past quarter, back in August, right, I shared inspiration that I wanted to get a Tesla with all of you, right? This is part of my vision. And where this started for me was simply by somebody asking me, if you had more money in your life, what would you want? And honestly, when that person asked me that question, it was hard to answer. I was like, I don't know what I would want. I mean, I've got a place to live. I've got enough money to get by. You know, I've got clothes to wear. I've got food to eat. Like, I don't really need anything. And then they asked me again, I'm not asking you what would you need, but what do you want? And I had to look inside. Well, what would I want? And then just this thing hit me. And I was like, I would want a Tesla. And I was like, whoa, yeah, wow, I would want that. That's kind of cool. And it really, it resonated somehow in my heart. And, you know, it's not the first time that something has sparked inspiration of joy of like, I want that, right? Have you ever felt that way? Like you got an idea and you're like, oh, I would want that. Yeah, I want that, right? And a lot of people I would ask and they'd say, yeah, oh, wow, yeah, I would want that too. But the more I started to think about it, the more I realized that this was something else. This was something else. I started to think about, why do I actually want this? Why do I actually want a Tesla? If I were going to get a Tesla, why would I want it? And I realized one thing is to prove to myself that it was possible. I just want to prove that it's possible. Because, you know, if I would have asked myself last year if it was possible, I would have told you, no, that there's no way that was going to happen. There was no way. That's crazy. But I wanted to prove to myself that this is actually possible. And it's something that I'm capable of. And then I started to think about more. Okay, well, why else would I want this? How could this actually contribute to my mission, to what else is important to me in my life? And then I started to think, well, if I had a Tesla, I could drive our youth around in it. And I was imagining in my mind, you know, the faces of our youth, of, you know, Joseph Shirinov and, you know, the Joseph, you know, girls and our youth being in that car and me driving them around, and their faces and their smiles and their laughter, like, wow, this is so fun. And the more I thought about that, I was like, wow, that would be so cool if I could do that for them. And then I continued to think some more. Why else would I want this? And the third point was I could show real evidence of the practical value of spiritual principles in life. You know, a lot of the complaint that we hear from young people these days about coming to church or any kind of spiritual practice is it's not practical. You know, what are you talking about? That's not practical. What about everything else that's important in life, right? But I thought, you know, if I could show that these principles, that if we actually practice these principles, that we could have everything that we want in our life. Not just a relationship with God, a relationship with the people around us, but we could have everything that we want. Everything, the secret to everything that you want in your life are these principles that God created for us. And if I could say, and I could declare that, through these principles, I'm going to make this happen, and then I make it happen. That is the proof. That is substantial proof that these principles make a difference in our life. And do it in a way, by the way, that has full integrity. I'm not going to, get a bunch of credit cards or, talk to the mafia about some loan or something like that, right? Do it in full integrity, right? And this was the final point, was that I could transform the view of what it means to be a pastor in our community. Let's face it. The reality is, when I talk to a lot of young people about ministry, about becoming a leader in the community, a majority of them will say, I would actually love to do that, but I'm not willing to sacrifice my family. I'm not willing to sacrifice my finances for that. I need a job that's going to pay. That's the reality. There is this view, and we've kind of put this idea up on a pedestal that the perfect pastor is one that was willing to sacrifice their family, one that was willing to sacrifice their finances, one that was willing to let go of all these things and just give their 24/7 to work for the community. We kind of put that up on a pedestal. And for a lot of young people growing up, they looked at that and they were like, that is not what I want. That is not the life that I'm looking for. And so in my mind, I realized, at some point in our community, at some point, somebody, sometime is going to have to say that is not the only possible future of what it means to be a pastor, to be a minister, to be a leader, to start to change the view that you can be a leader, you can be a pastor, and you can also have it all in your life. You can have that great relationship. You can spend that time with your family. You can have nice things. And I realized that at some point, someone was got to do it. And if not now, then when? If not me, then who? Why not me? Why don't I do that? And so when I really got to the core of why I want this, it stopped becoming something I should want, or I should have. It stopped becoming something even that I wanted to have. It's something that I must accomplish. I must achieve this, not for me, but for the sake of our community. If our community is going to survive the next 100, 200,000 years, someone's got to make this happen. Thank you. It became a must for me. So going back to that thing that you want to accomplish, whatever that might be in your life, you want to achieve, you have to get down to, why do I want this? And go beyond because it would be cool. Go beyond because it would be awesome. Really get down to, what is it in the deepest part of your heart that wants, why do you want this? How is it going to contribute to, yes, your life, but also the lives of others? How is it going to bring joy to others? And then the third point, everybody say number 3. Number 3 is to take action. Once you start taking action, once you actually understand what you want and why you want it, taking action actually becomes a very natural thing to do, because it's your what and your why that's going to pull you to take action. You have that is what you want. And so you are just going to go for it. One quote is, the antidote to fear is action. Because sometimes we know what we want and why we want it, but the thing that's going to stop us is fear. All right. We're super inspired at one moment, and then we don't do anything. And then we start getting afraid, and we start to doubt, and we start to say, is this really possible? Oh my God, what was I thinking? I can't believe I set that goal. I can't believe I told the whole congregation that I was going to get this thing. Oh my God. The antidote to fear is action, is just to start to take immediate action from that place of inspiration, of desire, of want, of why you want it. and then you start taking action. For me, once I realized what I wanted and why I wanted, I started to immediately take action. So I started to look into, okay, well, how much would this actually cost? I never looked that up before. I looked up, what would it actually cost me? How much per month would this cost me? I made a budget. I didn't make a budget before, but I made a budget because I wanted something. So I started looking, okay, so it's going to cost me about $700 a month for 72 months if I financed it. Okay, it gave me a game to play. Now I know how to get there. So now what do I need? What else could I do to get there? I started taking more action. I started to look up, well, is there a way that I could turn this liability into an asset? Is there a way that I could actually make money from my Tesla? And I looked into it and I found that there are actually options and possibilities of making money with your car. And it's fully insured. It's good. Anyway, you can look into it. And then I started thinking, well, what else could I do? What could I do to actually increase my income? So I realized, well, I've got this asset of I'm a coach. I've invested into my training as a coach. So I started to reach out and to look for opportunities where I could use this skill more. And I made a few proposals. And it was actually this goal that I had that got me to get out of my comfort zone. There was a certain amount of money that I was willing to ask for people for my coaching. And I wasn't willing to get out of that because I was afraid. But when it became a must, it wasn't like, should I raise my prices? Should I charge this much? It was like, I got to charge this much if I want to make this happen. So I made a proposal. And I proposed that somebody pay me $10,000 for my coaching. And I never thought in a million years that I'd ever do that. But I did. I found the courage because it was a must for me. I had to do it. And to my excitement, I got a yes. And thank you. So on top of that, other miracles happened. There was a EV credit announced for $7,500. There was a price cut in the Teslas. And all of that started to make it really seem like this was possible. Like, oh my gosh, it is possible. And so I did it. I bought, thank you. So I bought this Tesla. And it's going to be here February 9th, the day I come back from Vegas. Honestly, I wanted it to come by this Sunday so I could drive it down and be like, hey, everybody. But, we'll wait a week. But
Are you looking for a driver?
we can talk about that. So, again, the point is not about the Tesla. I know that's exciting, but it's these principles, they work. They work. And the next question we have to ask, we know what we want, why we want it is, what action can I take today to make this happen? And then I want to go into the fourth and last point. Everybody say number 4. Is don't make it about achievement. Make it about the journey. And it's kind of paradoxical, maybe, to say this in a sermon about achievement, but this is the reality. There's a quote, I think we've all heard it, life is a journey, not a destination. When I look back on the past 4-5 months, I realized that it really wasn't about the achievement. It wasn't about getting a Tesla. I know it sounds like it might be, but I tell you, it wasn't. It was a journey where I learned so much about God. I learned so much about faith and what it really means to believe, about who I am, about going beyond who I believed I was and what I believed was possible for my life. I learned about the limitations of my mind, the limitations that I put in my own mind about what was possible. And as I walked this journey, I could feel step by step how God was guiding me. and I could see his love, his truth in a way that I didn't see before. But the thing is, here's the thing. It doesn't mean you don't need to achieve anything, because you need to have a destination in order to have a journey. You need to have a goal. You know, you have to have the goal to play soccer. You can't play soccer without a goal. The destination gives you the journey. So be fully committed, but also don't be attached to the way it goes, the specific outcome that you might get. Because God might have something so much bigger in store for you. And the truth is, you know, I couldn't do this alone. One of the greatest lessons that I learned in this journey was that if I truly wanted something, and I understood why I wanted it, and I made it a must for me that, yes, I had to take the action, but God was going to do so many things outside of my power to help me along the way. You know, this guy, I think some of you have seen him. He's been here in Belvedere a few times. His name's Pastor James. You know, it was right around when I declared this vision for the community that I met this guy. And when he saw that this was my vision, he started telling me, I'm going to buy you that Tesla. And honestly, there were moments in that journey where I lost faith, where I thought, no, this is not possible. And I thought, this guy's crazy. There's no way he's going to buy me this Tesla. But when I looked at him, I just saw he was totally committed to this. He was not letting up. Every time I saw him, he was telling me, you know, I'm getting you that Tesla. I'm getting you that Tesla. I was like, oh my God, the faith that this man has. And I thought, and when I looked at him, I thought, if he could have faith in this, if he could have faith in me getting a Tesla, I can have faith. I can have faith too. And he became a mentor for me when it comes to truly having this absolute faith in God, that God will take care of us, that if we follow these principles that God laid out for us, God will take care of us. He became my mentor for that. And even though he didn't make any payments for this Tesla, but in my mind, he bought me the Tesla because it was the faith that he had, the faith that I learned through him, that allowed me to see this as something that was possible and to not give up when I wanted to give up. And the last thing I want to share about this journey is that it's through this journey that I learned something about our father and mother that I did not fully understand. And I don't think I could have understood before. You know, a while ago, Mother Moon announced that she wants to build this new building in Korea, right? This temple, it's going to be a museum. It's going to be a place of government for God's kingdom. And honestly, there were many times when I heard that was happening, and I felt very skeptical. And I felt like, what are we doing here? Do we really need a new big building? You know, we've got lots of big buildings here. And my mind was going into like practical. Why are we doing this? But it was actually through this journey that I started to have a deeper understanding into her heart. And I started to realize how much faith it takes for her to believe that something like this is possible, is so beyond my idea of what is possible for my life. And how she is a walking proof that if you truly believe that God will make it happen, it will happen. And I couldn't understand that until, to some extent, I was able to walk into her shoes and to test myself to believe something beyond my own limits. And this quote is so much more deeper for me. She's sharing, this is back in the 90s. After just a glimpse of my mission being married to such an extraordinary person who's carrying such a universal burden, I felt it was virtually impossible to even think of fulfilling it. But during this period, I felt the grace of God constantly upon me. When I was in agony, God revealed himself to me and gave me messages and guidance. When I was not receiving such guidance from him directly, God used the people around me, loving people, protecting people. Through them, God gave me constant guidance, daily instruction, and leadership. Those days were a tremendous ordeal of difficulties and tribulations, but at the same time, those days were truly most beautiful. A time of grace when God's presence was indeed with me. Now that I have come to this point, when I look back, all those memories of the hardship have turned into joy, something that I can converse about and have fellowship with Father over. We think that it's about getting to that destination, but it's not actually. It's about developing our faith, our heart, our relationship with God, and start to realize just how deep God's love goes for us. To realize that God will take care of us, that God will be with us in that journey. And to understand the heart of the people that love us. We don't understand how supported we are until we put God in a position where we need that support. So, yes, it's not about achievement, it's about the journey. But let's go for it. Let's go for it. And let's see how God will support us in that journey. So just to summarize the key points is to, first of all, know what you want, to know why you want it, to take action, and ultimately to not make it about the achievement, but make it about the journey and learn along the way. So if you'd like to practice this in your life, I want to challenge you to take a moment this week to write down one thing you'd like to accomplish this year. And if you can, stretch yourself beyond what you believe is possible. To write down why you want that. Get it to the point where it becomes a must for you. And to take one action to move yourself forward. And next week, we're going to be sharing about a year of balance. Because, life is not just about accomplishing and striving, but it's also about living right now. And that's what we'll be sharing about next week. So thank you so much. Love you all. God bless.
Thank you, Justin. Wow, we have plenty to reflect on. That was plenty of food for thought. So that's what, for those who are just visiting or new, after our sermon, we take a little bit of time for reflection and sharing. So right now, let's just take a couple of minutes to really think about how these words can apply to my life. Maybe what's an achievement that we want to start to consider, what a first step might be. So let's listen to some beautiful music from Rumiko and take a couple of minutes to think. Okay, so now it's time for a pair share. So if you find yourself sitting next to the same person that you're with every single week, let's mix it up a little bit and you can maybe move seats. We're going to have 3 minutes, so a minute and a half each. I'll give you a reminder to share some of your reflection. Okay, if you haven't already, it's time to switch and let the other person talk. Okay, great, everybody. That's the end of our pair share. But now it's time to share as a group. Okay. And Mika's going to be our mic runner. So let's hear from a couple of people who we don't hear from very often, who'd like to share their reflection, just briefly. Marina.
Is this on? Okay. Justin, got the Tesla. So that feels really inspiring, right? But I was actually thinking about when I hung out with my friends. They both have kids. It's actually Mina and Christabel. So Elliot wanted the zucchini bread that Mina had made, and he was like, I want to bring it into the house. And he's like, I want to eat it first. Okay, lunch first, because they're like kids, right? So And then like I was like, that must melt your heart, Mina, that like, your kid really wants this like zucchini bread. And I was thinking like, God, true parents, our parents are so happy for us when we achieve our goals. Like my parents were so happy when I got blessed to Isaac and like right. So yeah, there's tons of people by your side that like want to help, God and true parents included.
Great. Thank you. Another reflection? Okay, here we go.
Can I just stay seated?
Sure.
Okay,
That's fine.
I'm Wendy. I'm a visitor. I'm with Bill and Tycho and Mika and Johanna. So I guess hearing, what's that guy's name? I'm sorry.
Justin.
Pastor Justin.
Yes.
It was so good to hear your journey. It had me reflecting on last year's goal that I had, which was more specific and more direct. And it definitely stretched me. It pushed my boundaries, which was at the time living with my parents. I've never moved out on my own, being financially independent. And so my goal last year was to move to New York City and to find a more stable job. By the end of 2022, I had accomplished those two goals, and seeing your journey and the list that you have created from 1 to 4, I believe it was, had me reflecting on, oh yeah, I did all those things. And I like the reminder that it's really more about the journey than the destination. So that was my reflection.
Thank you. We have time for one more. Somebody else that we haven't heard from for a while. Yes. Okay. Mr. Falcone.
I'm sorry, my leg, I have a problem. I have to sit down. I was talking with, and I have this kind of dream always keeping in my mind. Is I buy a land in Ecuador. Is a tourist in a tourist area, and I was thinking it's not for me. It's for second generation. They can visit to them, they can stay in them under a program, the rehabilitation. Sometimes second generation, sometimes they need a help. Also a family too. And the brother said, you have to feel ownership. You have to accomplish that. And then that's I keep in my mind. That's it.
Great. Thank you so much. Okay.
Yes. Isn't that wonderful? Yes. You can do it. You can do it. It's important to know that. So let's stand and we can sing this last song with all the power, all the might. Put it in your head. It's not about what you sound like. It's about what comes out of you, your heart, your spirit. Are you ready? You can do it. Strength will rise as we wait upon the Lord. Wait upon the Lord. We will wait upon the Lord. Strength will rise as we wait upon the Lord. Wait upon the Lord. We will wait upon the Lord. Our God will reign forever. Our hope, our strong deliverer. You are the everlasting God, the everlasting God. You do not faint, you won't grow weary. You're the defender of the weak. You comfort those in need. You lift us up on wings like eagles. Strength will rise as
we wait upon the Lord. Wait upon the Lord, we will wait upon the Lord. Strength will rise, we wait upon the Lord. Wait upon the Lord, we will wait upon the Lord. Our God, you reign forever. Our hope, our strong deliverer. You are, sing it out, the everlasting God. You do not fail to roll weary. You the thunder, defender of the weak. You comfort those in need. You lift us up on wings like eagles. You are the oh yeah, the everlasting God. You do not fade, you won't grow weary. You the defender of the weak. You comfort those in need. You lift us up on wings like eagles. So everybody, take those wings like eagles and fly. Make this a great week. Thank you. God bless you all.